Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another session of BIF Success Stories, where we take a look at the real life people behind all of the CFP prep and the real struggles and the real triumphs that happen along the way in pursuit of their CFP marks. Today, I am honored to have Shirley Sanchez joining the BIF Success Stories platform. Shirley, how are you?
I'm well, Adam. How are you doing today?
Great, great. Shirley and I worked together as she was preparing for her exam on the exam prep side. And I discovered, I think after you had passed, just how impressive your story and some of the potential challenges were. I think you had shared with me that that you were pregnant throughout the entire preparation process, right? Even education, is that right?
Yes, I was. I was pregnant. I took a long time to study. I wanted to pass the first time, so I took it very seriously. And I was pregnant. I had my baby about a month after I took the exam. And I also had, so I have two kids now. The first one I had while I was doing my education. So I had one while I did the education, and then I had another one while I was studying for the exam. And they're both healthy and great and have financial knowledge in their brain, I'm sure, from all my studying. But yes, they are. I'm excited to share that. I was able to do that.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, right out of the womb, talking about like cute births, right?
Yes, I know. That's what one of my friends told me. I said, that's true.
Yeah.
Got it embedded. So yeah, I definitely was pregnant, and it was an experience, to say the least.
Yeah.
But I'm here, and the Boston Institute of Finance was definitely helpful. And yeah, I think you are right, Adam. I don't think I shared that until after. I was just really excited, and I was like, let me share this with whoever wants to hear it, who wants to hear like how I did this. And it was such a relief, that I passed. So I wanted to share it with everyone. And I probably didn't share it before because I didn't want. I wanted support, but I just felt like, well, this is, you'll get through it, and just put your mind to it and that time management piece, and it'll get done.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's rewind kind of to the beginning of that journey when you first started. So can you tell me a bit just about your background and just overall, what you study in college and what led you to pursuing the CFP?
Yeah. So I originally, where I went to school in my undergrad, I majored in sociology, and I minored in education and psychology. And so that was my undergrad. I went to grad school and I received a master's degree in counseling. So my background has really been in counseling, and I did work at educational institutions before that. And I really enjoyed helping students and just helping others. That's definitely one of my strengths. Um, but as I was in that career for a few years, I realized that there was something missing. And on the side, I used to just read about personal finance and read a lot of blogs and just books for fun. And I just found myself getting lost in all of the material. And I soon learned that there was a way to make a career out of this. And so I thought, well, what is this, being a certified financial planner? Let's read more about it. And at first I was a little intimidated, and I said, well, I don't have a background in finance. That's not what I went to school for. How do I approach this? I learned that, you get a certificate and you could still take these classes and get a comprehensive education in that regard. And then I learned more about the steps of passing the exam, doing all the rest of that. But as I was in it, it took me some time to dedicate and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I did. And I'm glad that I did, because it definitely has been a good fit for me. It really marries my strengths, my counseling background, helping others, definitely with the lens of empathy and compassion. And it marries that with my financial knowledge and my passion for financial planning. So it's been a good fit. And I'm glad that I did some research and I figured out there was a career to make out of it.
Wow. Yeah. It's got to be so nice with where it seems like a lot of the industry is moving to at least acknowledging some of the emotions and some of the communication style with clients and meeting the clients where they are, right? I'm sure some of the things that you studied as a counselor are easily applied to the financial space, right?
Oh, definitely, definitely. That's something that I've learned in my work, working with people. Sometimes it's really that counseling piece that's missing. It's really connecting them to, we can give the advice and we can make our recommendations, but sometimes there's barriers to the inaction. And so making sure that we're identifying them and helping the client where they are. And yeah, sometimes there's different techniques and strategies to get that done, but definitely a lot of counseling behind the scenes. You might not think that at first, but a lot of it is sometimes is emotional baggage or ways that people have dealt with money in the past or their family upbringing and how they bring that into their adult lives when they're handling, financial decisions and whatnot. So it definitely has come into play. I didn't think that at first. And when I remember I had a mentor, and I remember talking to the founder of actually the firm that I'm at right now. And I remember them saying, actually, it is a lot of counseling. You wouldn't think, but it is a lot. We have the financial knowledge and background and well, the financial knowledge and expertise, but applying that and making sure that the client follows through, that's another story too, right? And making sure that they're implementing everything and making sure everything goes smoothly.
Yeah. And it's kind of a marrying of two helping professions, I think, at their core, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And, I am pleased to see that, the CFP board is really incorporating more of like counseling, like you said, and like the psychology behind it. Because there is a lot to it. And I think they've been really incorporating that more into the exams and just in general, the different areas that we need to know. And I think that's great. Whenever I read about that, I was like, oh, that's awesome, because it's
Yeah.
very true, very needed as I'm in the field now. I see that with clients. And so I'm just thankful that I do have that basis, that background, but it's good to see it in real life too, practice.
Yeah. Did your experience just not from the financial field, effectively changing careers, were there some challenges there in just getting up to speed? I know you said you had a lot of prior interest, but once you were in an education program, what was your experience like?
Yeah. So at first it was a little difficult with some areas for me because I was like, oh, this is the first time I'm seeing this. I didn't have an undergrad degree in certain areas, but so there was a little challenge at first, but I was very dedicated. And so I put in the time to really just get better at certain areas. I remember the calculations and whatnot. I was like, I think I know how to do that. I need to practice this a little bit more. So stuff like that, which a lot of it is just practice, right? Putting in the time. A lot of it with the whole program and just like this career is just putting in the time and the practice to get to where you want to be. And so it was a little bit at first, but it was doable. I mean, I did it. I took my classes like online. That's what worked for me, and I was able to practice and do it at the speed that was appropriate for what was going on in my life.
Yeah. Where did you find the space in your day to day, week to week, with all you
Yeah.
have going on?
Yeah, so working full time, having children, really the time management piece couldn't be stressed enough. And any of you that have kids, it is very possible. It's just it's difficult, as you know, when you have kids, and I know Adam, you have kids too. So that they take a lot of time. There's a lot of work, and we love them, but it is a dedicated time that you need to spend with them. So for me, I had to really carve time out of my day. I mean, I was working full time, so it was at night when they went to sleep. That was a lot of when I did my work, and the weekends. And so it was hard at first to not be able to hang out with friends and go to such and such event. But eventually I got used to it, and I just kept my eye on the prize and said, this is all going to pay off. The time that I put in now is really going to help me come review time, come, when we have to take the exam. So this will all be worth it. But it was definitely really difficult. I was in a situation where my spouse was really supportive. And so he kind of, for a little bit, I was like, towards the end, right before the exam, I said he was almost like a single parent right at the end, because he was doing a lot of the stuff and I love him for it. And he really supported me in making sure I made this career change and that it was a success. And so whatever support you have, like, if it doesn't have to be a spouse, it can be your parents. I know I've heard people that, the parent was there, and my sister also was helpful towards the end as well, when I really had to get in those last hours to feel confident and feel comfortable going into the test. So a lot of that too is your confidence and how you feel going in. So for me, it was putting it on my calendar. And I think a lot of us use calendars, but to stay true to it and to say it's okay to say no. I've learned that in my life. Sometimes I just can't, I have to say no to certain things. Um, but carving out that time and staying dedicated, I think was really helpful. And just knowing that this is not going to be forever, right? You'll get your weekends back. I did. I got my weekends back, and now I can go with my daughter to pumpkin patches and just have fun and not worry or whatever. So just know it's a season and that it's not forever. You will get through that.
Yeah, it's almost as if it's a rite of passage for everyone. The more you hear of these stories from people that have passed, is my weekends looked like this. I mean, mine personally were in my backyard on the patio furniture with a stack of note cards and a stack of books, and that was just the way that it went. So you just see you see little variations of this from person to person, and yeah, you're right. It's tough to make that initial adjustment, but once you establish that pattern, it's still a challenge, right? But it's a little bit easier because you know what to expect and you know what it takes. How did all this look with the more intensive review space? Any challenges there above and beyond what you had before?
Right. The review, it can be fast paced, right? And you're reviewing, right? All of the information, as you all will know if you haven't already. It's very comprehensive. So the challenge there was just putting everything together. And as I studied, to know that I was pulling from those different areas, the estate part, it's the insurance part, and pulling it all together as I studied. And it was at the end, like it was pretty intense. I took it very seriously. So I had very long days of studying, and I said, well, I'm not going to do this again, especially with another kid on the way. This is going to be really hard. So yes, you're pregnant, you can do it. Just pull through and whatnot. So in terms of challenges, I think there was probably some mental challenges there too. And just knowing that this is cumulative, like all this time that I've been studying all these different areas, and now it's game time. And so I think there was that mental challenge for me too, just making sure that I didn't forget anything and that I fully absorbed, but also made sure everything came together. Because as you know, some of the questions on the exam are not just pulling from one area. It's a definitely like an overlap. Here's some tax incorporated into this insurance question or whatever it is, or education. And so I think for me, that was more of a mental thing, and just the time management. Like I said, I put a couple more action hours in at the end because I was nervous.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was like, I know I have to make sure I study. I got a little obsessive over it, but it's okay. It worked out.
Yeah. And I mean, at the time you sat for the exam, you're 8 months. I mean, you're well along in your pregnancy.
Well, along the way, yes. I said, this baby better not be early, because that will be a story. That will definitely be a story. Oh, I didn't pass the exam. I had to go into labor. But yeah, I was 8 months pregnant. That was on my mind. Initially, the exam was supposed to be in July, right? But because of the pandemic, they pushed it back. So that was what happened too. So I was supposed to go in, and take it in July, but because of the pandemic and everything going on with that, they pushed it back to September. So on one hand, it was like, oh, I have more time to study. I stress out, but I had more time to study, which really helped. But then it was like, I'm also further along in my pregnancy. And I was 8 months, and the baby came like a month after. Thank goodness he didn't come early. But so there was that challenge, right? I think I put that pressure on myself too. Like, well, you need to pass it now because you think it's hard trying to wrangle one toddler while you're studying. It's gonna be hard. So I put that on myself. But being pregnant, very proud of that. It's like I did that, and and I hope that inspires other working families that feel like it's impossible. That it is with that dedication. And it's a little bit of a sacrifice. It is. And it's challenging, but it is possible. If you can get out on the other side and then smile and not be as stressed out and be content.
Yeah, that's so great. And thank you for sharing that. It's such a valuable message. And often what we hear on the front end of the process is, well, it's not the right season in my life to do this for this reason.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of parents with young children, just knowing how much that takes in the way of energy and time and thought and care to now be stacking that with something that's as time demanding and time intensive as this pursuit. So you did it successfully, and you did it by managing that time and by being resilient and by having support systems. And
Yes.
such a great
Yeah.
message.
Yes. And also just remembering why you're doing it. I think that really helped me too. There were times where I felt defeated and I questioned whether I could do it. I did. I questioned, I said, I don't know if I could do this, but I know that, the guys at BIF were really great. And, just they did a lot of extra programming and everything too, which was really helpful. And just knowing that support and connecting to others that, going through the challenges, I think was really helpful. And just, yeah, so I think that was all just really helpful as I was going through my journey. But like I said, also just knowing why you're doing it, right? Like think of the end goal. And when I was feeling defeated, I remember thinking, well, I'm also doing this for my children. I'm doing this for my daughter. At the time, when I was going through the education, I was just thinking, well, there's not a lot of women in the field, like I need to do this and I need to prove to her that, like it's okay. Like you can be who you want to be. You can do what you want, and just hoping I can be an inspiration to her. And that was part of that when I felt down, I was like, I'm doing this for my daughter, and also, because like I said, there's not a lot of women in the field. Also, I'm like a first generation college student. I didn't have my parents go to school or anything. And I said, well, I'm going to be the financial person in my family, right? Also being like Latina. And I said, looking at the stats, there's like 1.5 Latina/Latino CFPs in the profession. I was like, 1.5 is pretty low. I said, I need to help move that needle. So let me not give up. Let me, help with that and inspire others that maybe feel like, it's not possible for them.
That's great.
The bigger picture.
In one of our other sessions, someone that was also first generation, going to college and getting their marks, had shared, I can't be you if I can't see you. And it's so great that you're a torchbearer here. You're gonna be that, so other people can be inspired and pursue their marks. And yeah, we need your voice and your perspective and your counseling. We need your counseling. I think that's such a vital piece of this. And when it's done well. Let's just talk about post CFP for a moment. So you go through all of that. You earn your marks, you achieve your goal. What has that meant for you since?
Yeah, so it's been, besides feeling the sense of relief and getting my weekends back and feeling like I had a life again. For me, it's definitely it's opened doors. Actually, while I was studying, I had a mentor, and my mentor was working at this RIA, actually that I'm at right now, Pioneer Wealth Management. And, she said, I think you'd be a good fit. Let's connect you to the founder and let's have a conversation. Let's just have a conversation. And I know that with my studying and, being on this path, I know that helped me with like, oh, I'm going to take the exam and everything. And I was actually offered a position at that time. But with studying and being pregnant and working full time, we decided to wait until after I passed the exam and had a baby. And then I was like, I joined. So soon after that, after passing the exam and having the baby, then I started where I am right now. And so it's been a great transition. And I feel like I've checked off some marks. It's like, okay, now I'm working on my hours. I had the baby, passed the exam. I like to go through checklists. So I was like, okay, now I'm on my next endeavor, which is working on my hours right now, which
that's great.
Doing the apprenticeship. And so so we should have those hopefully soon enough. And it's been a great experience with having the CFP under my belt, almost there, still working on the hours, not be able to use my marks, but it's been great working, getting experience and seeing everything I've read about and studied, just seeing that in real life and seeing how that's carried out, seeing all the different perspectives and whatnot. So
I'm sure it's helping you to really crystallize what you learned, right? Just definitely, a real person attached to that.
Yes. And it's interesting because I know some people have a different pathway, right? And they're in the field and then they study, so they have a different experience. So for me, it was more, I took the exam and now I'm getting my experience. And so it's, everyone's experience and pathway is different. This one's working for me right now. So a lot of things that I've learned, and then I get to see it, and it's really just solidifying everything and just getting the practice in, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I so very much appreciate you joining us today and sharing
Yes.
your story and inspiring others. And just it's so good to see someone having fun in this profession too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Learning and yeah, I'm just very grateful that you took the time and that uh, you know are doing what you can to just bring more diversity into our profession in terms of thought and experience, right? Um, and
Yes.
yeah, we just wish you the best and want to continue to support you along the way, however we can. And just so very much appreciative of your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Biff. I appreciate the opportunity to share my story and inspire others and just know that it is possible. Because I know with inspiration, right, a lot of times it helps us get through those hard times. So I'm happy to share my story, and I'm sure you can share my info if someone is like, I have a similar story. I just want to hear exactly what she did, more details and all that stuff. I'd be glad to share that as well.
That's great. Thank you. Shirley
Thank you.
Sanchez, a BIF success story. We look forward to hearing about you doing some great things and helping others in this profession. So thank you.
Thank you, Adam. You have a good one.
Take care.